I had been back from an 8-month deployment for exactly 45 minutes when my mother handed me 2 black trash bags. She didn't smile, didn't hug me, didn't say welcome home. She looked me dead in the eye and said, "Pack your things. Your sister needs your room." I blinked. Once. Slow. I still had dust on my boots from the flight. My duffel bag was sitting by the door unopened. I hadn't even made it past the entryway. "My room," I asked. "For her inventory," she said. Like that explained everything, like it was obvious. Savannah's business is launching this week. She needs the space. Behind her, my father stood in the hallway, arms crossed, silent, watching. That part didn't surprise me. He always watched, never stepped in, never picked a side, just stood there like a piece of furniture with opinions he refused to share. I shifted my weight, looked past my mom. Savannah was halfway up the stairs, holding a tape measure, smirking, measuring my doorframe, like I was already gone. I let out a quiet breath, set my jaw. "I just got home," I said. "And we're proud of you," my mother replied quick, almost rehearsed. "But this is important, this is real. Savannah is building something meaningful." I almost laughed. Savannah had been a content creator for 3 years, which is a polite way of saying she filmed herself drinking smoothies and talking about energy alignment to an audience that barely cracked triple digits. Now suddenly she was opening a luxury wellness boutique. With what money, I didn't ask. I already knew how this house worked. My mother stepped closer, lowered her voice like she was trying to be gentle. "Darcy, your military thing, it's great, but it's temporary. This," she gestured up the stairs, "this is the future. This is the family legacy. My military thing. I'm a first lieutenant in Army Cyber Command. I hold a TSSCI clearance. I spend my days tracking threats most people don't even know exist. But sure, a phase." I glanced at my father. He looked away. That was my answer. I didn't yell, didn't argue. That's what they expected. That's what they always got from me growing up. Pushback, resistance, difficult daughter, not tonight. Tonight I was tired, so I nodded once. "Okay," I said. My mother looked relieved, like she had just avoided a scene. Big mistake. I walked past her. Up the stairs, past Savannah. She didn't move. "Careful with the shelves," she said casually. "They're going where your bed is." Of course they are. I stepped into my room. Same walls, same window, same cheap blinds I installed before I left. 4 years. That's how long I'd been sending money back here, quietly, every month. $1,800, mortgage autopay. Set it up myself, never missed a payment. They never asked how the house stayed afloat. They just got used to it. I opened the closet, grabbed clothes, didn't sort, didn't fold, just packed. Black trash bags, like I was clearing out garbage. Fitting, I moved fast, efficient, military habits, 10 minutes. That's all it took to erase my presence from that room. I slung my duffel bag over my shoulder, grabbed the trash bags. On my way out, I paused. Savannah was inside now, already moving things around, talking to herself about layout flow. She didn't even look at me. I walked downstairs. My mother was waiting at the bottom, watching my hands, making sure I didn't take anything that wasn't mine. My father stood in the same spot, still silent. I stopped in front of him. For a second, I thought he might say something, anything. He didn't. I gave a small nod, not respect, not approval, just acknowledgement. Then I walked to the door. My hand paused on this handle. Behind me, my mother spoke again. "You'll understand one day," she said. "Family has to support each other." I almost turned around. Almost. Instead, I opened the door. Cold air hit my face. Rain steady and sharp. Good. Felt appropriate. I stepped outside, dropped the bags in the truck bed, tossed my duffel in the passenger seat, didn't rush, didn't look back. I got in, shut the door. For a second, everything went quiet. Just the sound of rain on metal. My hands rested on the steering wheel. I stared straight ahead. 45 minutes. That's all it took. 8 months overseas. And less than an hour to be replaced. I let out a short breath. Not shaky, not emotional, just done. Have you ever walked into a place you paid for, only to be treated like you didn't belong there at all, like you were just temporary? Like The Help? Tell me in the comments. I read everyone. And if you've ever had to learn the hard way that blood doesn't always mean loyalty, hit subscribe. Because this story, it only gets worse from here. I turned the key, the engine came to life. I shifted into drive. Didn't check the mirror, didn't need to. As I pulled away, the front door behind me slammed shut. Heavy, final. The sound echoed through the night. Good, let it. I drove through the rain. No destination. Just distance. A few miles down the road, I pulled over under a flickering streetlight. My phone buzzed. Once, sharp, out of place. I glanced down. Unknown number, automated message. From a commercial bank. Subject line, urgent activity alert. My grip tightened slightly. I hadn't used that account in weeks. I opened the message. And just like that, the sadness was gone. Replaced by something colder, sharper, something that felt a lot more like home. I stared at the message for 3 seconds, then put the truck back in drive. No hesitation, no second guessing, just a quiet shift from emotion to process. There was a motel about 10 minutes from base. Cheap, forgettable, the kind of place no one asks questions. I'd stayed there once before during a training rotation. I pulled in under a flickering neon sign, parked in the far corner, backed in out of habit. Always give yourself a clean exit. The room smelled like old carpet and industrial cleaner. Didn't matter. I dropped my bags by the wall, locked the door, and slid the chain in place. Then I moved to the desk. My laptop came out of the duffel. Military-grade encryption, personal build, no shortcuts, no cloud sync, no loose ends. I powered it on. The screen lit up blue, calm, neutral, familiar. That helped. I pulled up the message again, read it slower this time. Unusual activity detected. Immediate review required. No bank sends that kind of alert for nothing. I logged in. 2-factor, secure token, fingerprint, access granted. And just like that, everything went sideways. My credit dashboard loaded first. Or what used to be my credit. I didn't react right away. Just stared at the number. It had dropped hard, not a small dip, not a reporting error. A collapse. Months of damage stacked and hidden. I opened the account details. That's when the first hit landed. Commercial loan, $145,000, status maxed. Opened 4 months ago. Under my name, under my social security number. I sat back slowly. Okay, I muttered. Not panic, not yet, just recalibration. I clicked deeper. Second hit, equipment lease, $50,000, also maxed. Also under my name, same time frame, same authorization chain, total exposure $195,000. I exhaled once, long, controlled. That wasn't random, that was deliberate. I cracked my knuckles. Pulled up the back-end logs. Most people would stop at the numbers. I don't. I track patterns, entry points, signatures, digital fingerprints. The loan documents were stored as PDFs. I opened the first one. My name was there. My rank. My SSN, my signature, clean, precise, completely fake. I zoomed in. Pixel alignment was off. Slight distortion on the curve of the D, not scanned, recreated. I checked the metadata. IP address logged at time of submission. I copied it, ran it through a trace. Residential, ISP local, my hometown. Of course, I didn't feel anger, not yet. Just a slow, cold tightening in my chest. I pulled the second document, same pattern, same IP block, different timestamp. 2 weeks later, they didn't rush it, they staged it, planned. I leaned back in the chair, looked at the ceiling for a second, then went back to work. Cross-referenced timestamps with my deployment schedule. Both transactions happened while I was overseas. Limited access, high operational tempo, minimal personal contact, perfect window. I opened another terminal, ran deeper trace logs, device fingerprinting, MAC patterns, login attempts, and there it was, same device ID, multiple sessions, same network, same house, my house, no, their house. Lorraine didn't know how to do this, not on her own. Savannah barely knew how to reset a router, but together one pushes, one executes. That's how they've always worked. I pulled up the vendor profiles, the boutique suppliers, luxury shelving, imported fixtures, custom lighting, everything overpriced, everything branded, everything paid for with my identity. I let out a short breath through my nose. Luxury wellness, I said quietly. Yeah, funded by federal fraud. I checked the payment history. Minimum payments made, late fee stacking. Credit utilization maxed. They weren't managing it. They were bleeding it. Which meant one thing, they didn't plan to pay it back. They planned to let it sit. On me. I closed my eyes for a second, Not to process emotion, to run the math. $195,000 in fraudulent debt. Active accounts, my name, my clearance. That's when it clicked. Not the theft, not the betrayal, the implication. I opened a new window, pulled up security clearance guidelines. Didn't need to read it, I already knew. Unexplained debt is a red flag. Large, sudden financial exposure. That's a liability, a vulnerability. In my world, that means one thing: compromise risk. If I don't report it immediately, I lose my clearance. No clearance, no position. No position, no career. And the military doesn't do quiet exits. They investigate, they dig. And if they think you hid something, it doesn't end with paperwork. It ends with a dishonorable discharge. And the debt, still mine, every dollar. I stared at the screen. No blinking now, no second guessing. They didn't just take my room. They didn't just push me out of the house. They lit a match under everything I've built. My career, my record, my future, all of it. For shelves, for candles, for a business that hadn't even opened yet. I let out a slow breath. Then I sat up straight, back aligned, shoulders steady, the way I sit when something matters. Because this wasn't personal anymore. This was operational. I opened a secure folder, started documenting. Screenshots, logs, timestamps, everything. Chain of evidence matters, emotion doesn't. I built the timeline, step by step, transaction by transaction. IP trace, device ID, document metadata, clean, structured. Bulletproof, no assumptions, just facts. By the time I finished, it was quiet outside. Dead quiet. I checked the clock. 2:57 a.m. I leaned back, looked at the screen. Every piece lined up. No gaps, no confusion, just one clear conclusion. They committed federal fraud against a military officer while she was deployed. I almost smiled. Not because it was funny, because it was stupid. Catastrophically stupid. I closed the laptop halfway, let the light dim. My reflection stared back at me in the screen. No anger, no sadness, just clarity, 3 a.m. The blue glow hit my eyes, and whatever was left of the version of me that walked out of that house gone, burned off, replaced by something colder, more precise, more dangerous. I rested my hands on the desk, still, steady, waiting, because there was only one move left, and it had to be done right. At first light, I was going to make the most important call of my life. I watched the clock hit 700, grabbed my laptop, and drove straight to base. No coffee, no music, just quiet. The visitor gate opened after a quick ID check. Familiar routine. Controlled environment. Predictable. That helped. I parked outside the legal building. Clean lines. No personality. Exactly what you want when your life is about to get dissected. Inside, the air smelled like paper and toner. I checked in, sat down, hands folded, back straight. 5 minutes later, a captain in a crisp uniform stepped out and called my name. Lieutenant Thorne. I stood. Followed him into a small office. No decorations, just a desk, 2 chairs, a government computer, a printer that looked older than both of us. He closed the door. Have a seat. I did. He didn't waste time. What do you have? I slid the folder across the desk. Digital copy already sent through secure channel. Full documentation, I said. Loan records, lease agreements, IP logs, device fingerprints. Timeline aligned with deployment schedule. He nodded once, opened the file. Silence filled the room. He read fast, efficient, eyes moving line by line. No reaction for the first minute. Then his jaw tightened slightly. That was enough. After a while, he leaned back. Who are the individuals involved? Lorraine Thorne, my mother, Savannah Thorne, my sister. He held my gaze. You're certain? Yes. No hesitation, no emotion, just fact. He tapped the file once. This is clean, he said, very clean. I didn't respond. He continued. What you're describing is federal felony territory, wire fraud, identity theft, potentially aggravated given the use of a military officer's credentials. I nodded. I'm aware. He studied me for a second. Then you also know what this means for you. I do. He folded his hands. Let me say it clearly anyway. Good. I wanted it on record. If you do not report this immediately and this debt remains unexplained, your security clearance is at risk. I understand. If your clearance is suspended or revoked, your career is effectively over. I understand. And if investigators determine you were aware of the fraud and failed to disclose it, you could face administrative or legal consequences, including discharge. I didn't blink. I understand. He let that sit. Then he leaned forward slightly. So here's your choice. There it was. You can absorb the debt, try to manage it quietly, hope it doesn't trigger deeper review. That keeps your family out of it, for now. I said nothing. Or, he continued, you file formal reports. FBI, FTC, full investigation, asset tracing, account freezes, criminal charges. He paused. Your family will be exposed, publicly, and it will not be gentle. Silence. He watched me, waiting, measuring. I looked down at the file, at my name stamped across forged documents, at the numbers, $195,000. Then I thought about the hallway, the trash bags, the look on my mother's face, the smirk on Savannah's, my father saying nothing. I looked back up. I'm filing, I said. No hesitation, no softness, just a decision. He nodded once, understood. He turned to his computer, pulled up the forms. We worked through it line by line. FBI report, identity theft affidavit, Federal Trade Commission filing, every field filled, every detail documented. No emotion in the process, just accuracy. When it was done, he hit submit. That was it. No dramatic sound, no warning, just data moving through secure servers. He printed copies, slid them across the desk. You did the right thing, he said. I didn't respond, because right wasn't the point. Necessary was. I stood, but I didn't leave, not yet. I pulled out my phone. Open my banking app, he noticed. You need something else, he asked. Yeah, I said. I need to clean up the rest. He didn't ask what that meant. He just watched. I logged in, same accounts I'd been quietly maintaining for years. Mortgage, insurance, utilities, all the invisible threads keeping that house functioning. I opened the mortgage account first. Autopay $1,800, monthly, 4 years, never missed. I hovered for half a second. Not because I was unsure, just acknowledging the moment. Then I canceled it. Confirmation screen popped up. Autopay disabled, clean, simple, done, next, Savannah's auto insurance. Of course it was under my account, premium paid on time, always. I canceled that too. No warning, no grace period, just termination. Next, a few smaller subscriptions, utilities linked through my payment methods. Gone, one by one, cut, cut, cut. No messages sent, no calls made, no explanation. Silence is cleaner. Silence forces impact. I locked my phone, slid it back into my pocket. The captain watched me for a second. That's going to hit them fast, he said. Good, I replied. He nodded. No judgment, just understanding. I turned to leave. My phone buzzed. I paused, pulled it out. Message from my mother. Of course. I opened it. I know you're upset about the room, but family is family. Keep sending your portion of the mortgage on the 1st of the month. I read it twice. Calm, measured. Like she hadn't just committed a felony. Like nothing had changed. My thumb hovered over the screen. For a second. Just one. Not to think. To decide how much to say. The answer was simple. As little as possible. I typed one word. Understood. Sent. No explanation. No warning. No emotion. I put the phone away. Looked at the captain. I'm done here, I said. He gave a small nod. Stay reachable, he replied. Things are going to move quickly, I know. I stepped out of the office. The hallway felt quieter than before. Or maybe I walked outside. Sunlight hit my face, bright, clear, normal, like nothing had just shifted. I got into my truck, sat there for a second, hands on the wheel, still. Because somewhere out there systems were already processing what I just set in motion. Flags were being raised. Accounts were being reviewed. Algorithms were connecting dots. No sirens, no warnings, just silent escalation. By the time I turned the key, it was already too late for them to stop it. And I wasn't going to be anywhere near the fallout. The digital paperwork moved through federal servers without a sound, triggering alerts across 3 major banks and cutting me cleanly away from the explosion that was about to hit Savannah's grand opening on Saturday. I adjusted the collar of my dress uniform and stepped out of the car into a line of luxury SUVs and borrowed confidence. Day 6. They moved fast. The building sat on a corner lot downtown. Glass front, clean signage. A temporary banner stretched across the entrance Savannah Wellness grand opening. Of course it was. Two women in matching neutral outfits stood by the door holding clipboards and smiling like they were being paid to care. "Welcome," one of them said. "Are you on the list?" I didn't answer, I just walked past her. Confidence works better than credentials most of the time. Inside the place was expensive, not tasteful, not smart, just expensive. Imported shelves, custom lighting, white and gold everything, fake greenery placed with surgical precision. It looked like a catalog exploded, and I recognized half of it. Because I'd seen the invoices, 80 guests easy, influencers with cameras already out, extended family dressed like they suddenly had money, people holding champagne they didn't earn. I scanned the room once. Savannah was near the front, center of attention obviously, dressed in something tight and neutral, talking with her hands, laughing too loud. My mother hovered close, managing, adjusting, watching everything. My father stood off to the side, holding a drink, like he wasn't sure what to do with it. Same as always. I stepped further in. That's when my mother saw me. Her face changed instantly. Panic, sharp, immediate. She moved fast, grabbed my arm, pulled me toward the corner. "What are you doing here?" she hissed. Her nails dug into my sleeve. "You're going to pull focus from your sister. Stay in the back. Don't make a scene." I looked at her, really looked. Same tone, same control, same assumption that I would adjust myself to fit her plan. I gave her a small smile, flat, empty. Then I gently pulled my arm free. Didn't argue, didn't explain, just walked away, toward the back of the room. There was a shadowed area near the wall, behind a row of display tables stacked with overpriced glass jars and signature blends. I stood there, still, quiet, invisible. That's where I do my best work. I folded my hands behind my back. Let the room move around me. People laughed, took photos, tagged locations, said words like vision and brand and elevated experience. No one noticed me. Perfect. Savannah took the stage about 10 minutes later. Small platform, wireless mic, spotlight angled just right. She tapped the mic once. "Hi everyone," she said, voice soft and emotional. The room quieted. Phones came up. Recording, of course. She placed a hand on her chest, took a breath like she was about to deliver something meaningful. "This has been such a journey," she said. I almost checked my watch. "I started this with nothing but a dream," she continued, "and a belief that if you stay true to your purpose, the universe will align." There it was, the universe. Not the loan, not the lease, not the identity theft. The universe. She paced slowly across the stage. "I built this from the ground up, through sheer hustle, independence, late nights, sacrifice." I looked around. People nodded. They ate it up, because it sounded good. Didn't have to be true. She smiled a little shaky, practiced vulnerability. "I want to thank my parents," she said, turning toward them, "for believing in me when no one else did." My mother placed a hand over her mouth, emotional, proud. My father nodded slowly, like he had been part of something. Savannah looked right past me, didn't even hesitate, like I wasn't there, like I had never been there. Good. "Made this easier." She lifted her chin slightly. "This isn't just a store," she said. "It's a movement." I had to look down for a second, not because I was overwhelmed, because I almost laughed. A movement funded by felony fraud. That's new. She wrapped it up with a soft smile. "Thank you for being part of this beginning." She stepped back. Applause. Polite, controlled, social, the kind of clapping people give when they're supposed to. It echoed off the high ceiling, bounced around the glass and marble. Savannah soaked it in, arms open slightly, head tilted, eyes shining. My mother moved in for a hug. Cameras flashed. I didn't move, didn't clap, didn't react, because I wasn't here for the performance. I was here for the correction. I shifted my weight slightly and looked toward the front doors. Heavy glass, clean lines, reflection sharp enough to see movement outside. That's when I saw it. Two figures, large, structured, moving with purpose. Not influencers, not guests, no hesitation in their walk. The doors began to open, slow, deliberate. The room didn't notice yet. Still clapping, still smiling, still pretending. I kept my eyes locked on the entrance, didn't blink, didn't breathe any different, because I knew exactly what was about to walk through that door. And I knew one thing for sure, they weren't on Savannah's guest list. I watched the doors swing open and kept my hands still behind my back. Two men stepped inside first, big, solid, Work boots, dark jackets, no hesitation. The kind of guys who don't look around to see if they're welcome. They already know they're not. Right behind them, a county sheriff walked in. Uniform clean, expression neutral. One hand resting near his belt like this was just another stop on a long list. The music cut off mid-song, not faded. Cut. The room shifted fast. Conversations dropped. Phones lowered. People turned. You could feel it. That split second when everyone realizes something's wrong but no one knows what yet. Savannah froze on stage, smile still on her face but her eyes flicked toward the entrance. Confusion first, then irritation, then something tighter. She stepped down from the platform, heels clicking fast against the floor. "Excuse me," she called out, voice sharp. "This is a private event." The lead agent didn't even slow down. He walked straight through the center of the room. Guests moved out of the way without being told. People always do when someone walks like that. Savannah picked up speed. "Hey, no, you can't just walk in here," she snapped, trying to get in front of him. "This is a VIP launch. You need to leave." He stopped, not because of her, because he reached the center. He turned slowly, looked at the room once, then down at the clipboard in his hand. Savannah stepped closer, voice rising. "I'm serious. You're interrupting." He lifted a hand slightly, not aggressive, just enough. She stopped talking. Not by choice, by instinct. The sheriff stepped to the side, clear view of the room. Phones came back up. "Recording now." The lead agent spoke. Loud, clear, no rush. "We are executing a federal seizure order," he said, voice carrying across the space, "for all assets leased under the fraudulent account of First Lieutenant Darcy Thorne." Silence, not quiet. Silence. Like the air got pulled out of the room. My mother's face drained instantly, color gone, eyes wide. My father's hand jerked slightly. The champagne glass slipped. Hit the floor, shattered. No one moved. No one said a word. Savannah blinked once, then again. "Excuse me," she said, voice thin now. "That's not, there's been a mistake." The agent didn't look at her. He flipped a page on the clipboard. "Commercial loan account ending in 4821. He continued. "Equipment lease agreement ending in 9037. Both registered under Social Security number assigned to Lieutenant Darcy Thorne." Every word landed clean, precise, documented. Savannah shook her head fast. No, that's not, those are my accounts. I built this. This is my business." The agent finally looked at her, flat, unimpressed. "You can address that with the bank," he said. "Right now we're reclaiming their property." The sheriff stepped forward half a pace, not saying anything, just reinforcing the point. Savannah's breathing changed, fast, shallow. She turned, not toward the agents, toward me. Of course she did, because somewhere deep down she knew. Her eyes locked on mine across the room. And just like that, the panic hit. Real panic. She pushed through the crowd, almost tripped over someone's bag. "Darcy," she shouted. "What is this? Tell them to stop." Heads turned. People followed her gaze, and for the first time that night, I wasn't invisible anymore. I stepped out of the shadows, slow, controlled, every movement deliberate. The room shifted again, whispers now, phones angled toward me. Uniform does that. Presence does that. Savannah reached me, grabbed my arm. "Fix this," she said, voice breaking. "Tell them there's been a mistake." I looked down at her hand, then back at her face. Same person, different energy. I gently removed her grip. "No," I said, "just that." She blinked. "What?" I straightened slightly, shoulders back, voice steady, projected, the way I've been trained. "You can't fund a luxury business with someone else's stolen identity, Savannah," I said. The words cut clean through the room. No yelling, no emotion, just fact. "The bank owns this equipment," I continued. "My name is on the accounts, and I authorized the repossession." You could hear the shift, not loud, but real. The moment the story changed in everyone's head. Savannah stared at me like she didn't recognize me. "Are you insane?" she snapped. "You're ruining everything." I didn't respond. Didn't need to. Behind her, the agent started moving, fast, efficient. One went straight to the display shelves, started removing product, scanning tags, confirming inventory. The other moved toward the lighting rigs, disconnecting power, labeling components. No hesitation, no drama, just execution, a drill. Electric driver, the sharp sound of metal loosening. People stepped back. Phone still up, recording everything. My mother stumbled forward. "Stop this," she shouted. "You can't just take things." The sheriff stepped in her path, calm, firm. "Ma'am, step back." She froze. For the first time in my life, she didn't push past someone, because she couldn't. My father stood near the broken glass, still not speaking, still watching, same as always. Savannah turned in circles. No, 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 she kept saying. This isn't happening. One of the agents lifted an entire display case, carried it toward the door like it weighed nothing. The legs scraped slightly on the floor, a harsh dragging sound, ugly, real. Another shelf came down, then another. The boutique started coming apart piece by piece, right in front of everyone. Savannah lunged toward one of the agents. Put that down, she screamed. The sheriff moved again. Faster this time. Blocked her. Ma'am, do not interfere. She pulled back like she'd hit a wall, because she had. I stayed where I was, didn't move, didn't help, didn't stop it. This wasn't my mess to fix. This was the correction. The sound filled the room now. Metal, glass, wood, expensive things being uninstalled, disconnected, removed. The illusion breaking down in real time. Guest by guest, people started leaving. Quiet at first, then faster, whispers turning into calls, messages being sent, videos uploading. Savannah's movement didn't last an hour. My mother's breathing got louder, erratic. Her eyes darted from the agents to the door, then back to me. And that's when it hit her. Not the boutique, not the embarrassment. The next step. Her accounts, her money, her control. All tied to the same system. All exposed. All vulnerable. The scraping sound of another display case being dragged across the floor echoed through the space, stripping Savannah's fake empire down to nothing as my mother's panic shifted into something deeper. Realizing she wasn't just watching it collapse, she was next. I watched another group of guests slip out the door, phones still up, whispering like they were leaving a crime scene. Because they were, not legally, not yet. But socially, this was over. Savannah dropped to the floor, no grace, no control, just collapsed. Her hands hit the polished surface hard, then her shoulders followed. The sobbing started immediately, loud, raw, not curated, not filtered, real. I didn't do anything wrong, she choked out. I worked for this. No one answered her, because there was nothing left to say. The agents kept moving, shelves gone, lighting rigs halfway down, inventory boxed and tagged like it never belonged here in the first place. My mother snapped. She turned on me fast. No hesitation this time. You did this, she screamed, charging straight at me. Her voice cut through everything. You are destroying this family. People still near the exit slowed down just enough to hear that. Of course they did. I didn't step back. Didn't flinch. She stopped inches from me, face tight, eyes wide, breathing hard. You're jealous, she continued. You couldn't stand seeing your sister succeed, so no. I cut her off, calm, even, not loud. But it landed. She blinked, thrown off just enough. I didn't destroy anything, I said. I reached into my jacket, pulled out the folder, manila, plain, official. The same one I handed to Jag. I opened it halfway, just enough for her to see the documents inside. I reported the fraud, I said. Her face changed. Not understanding yet, just reacting. What fraud, she snapped. I held her gaze. The $195,000 you took using my identity, I said. Each word slow, clear, precise. Silence hit again, different this time, heavier. Her mouth opened slightly, closed. Opened again, that's not, she started. I didn't let her finish. Because you forged federal documents using a military officer's social security number. I continued. The bank initiated a hard freeze on all accounts associated with your IP address this morning. Now it landed. Fully. I saw it. The exact second her brain caught up. Her eyes shifted. Not to me, to the room, then to the agents, then back to me. No, she whispered. Not denial. Fear. Actual fear. You're lying, she said louder now. You're trying to scare me. I tilted my head slightly. Check your phone, I said. She didn't move at first. Then her hands fumbled into her purse, pulled it out, unlocked it. Her fingers moved fast, then slowed, then stopped. Her face went blank, completely blank. She stared at the screen like it was in a different language. No, she said again, softer this time. Her knees didn't buckle. She didn't collapse like Savannah. She just stood there, frozen. Because this wasn't about embarrassment anymore. This was about loss of control, total loss. My accounts, she said under her breath. I didn't answer. Didn't need to. She scrolled, swiped, opened another app. Same result. Frozen, locked, unavailable. Her breathing changed. Shallow, uneven. "What did you do?" she asked. Still not looking at me. "I told you," I said. "I reported it." That's when my father finally spoke. First time all night. "What about the house?" he asked. His voice was low, controlled. But there was something under it. Something sharp. I looked at him. Really looked. He wasn't staring at me. He was staring at her, at my mother. "Mortgage," he said. It didn't clear. That got her attention. She turned to him fast. "What are you talking about?" He shook his head slightly. "I checked this morning," he said. Payment didn't go through. My mother's eyes snapped back to me. "What did you do?" she demanded. Same question, different meaning. I held her gaze. "I stopped paying it," I said. Simple, direct, no extra words. Her lips parted. Nothing came out. "The autopay was mine," I added. "Not yours." That hit harder than anything else, because it reframed everything. Not their house. My payment, my support. Gone. "How long?" my father asked. 3 days, I said. He nodded slowly, doing the math. "Then we're already flagged," he said quietly. Not panic. Recognition. He knew how systems worked. Late payment, no backup funds, frozen accounts, no recovery. "Pre-foreclosure process starts fast," he added. My mother shook her head. No, we can fix this. We just need to—" With what he cut in. She stopped. Looked at him like she hadn't heard that tone before. Maybe she hadn't. "Everything's locked," he said. "Checking, savings, retirement." Each word heavier than the last. "We're out of cash." The room felt smaller, not physically, just tighter. Savannah's sobbing faded into the background. The agents kept working. The sheriff stayed near the door, watching. Always watching. My mother's face changed again. Not anger, not denial. Something else. Calculation. Fast. Desperate. Her eyes flicked to me, then away, then back. Like she was trying to find a version of this where she still had leverage. There wasn't one. "You need to fix this," she said finally. Not screaming now. Just pushing, trying to regain control. I didn't respond, because there was nothing to fix. This was already in motion. This was already decided. "You can call them," she pressed. "Tell them it's a mistake. Withdraw the report." I almost smiled. Almost. "That's not how this works," I said. Her jaw tightened. "You're my daughter." "And you used my identity," I replied. Flat. No emotion, just truth. That ended it. Not the situation, the argument. Because there was nothing left to argue. The system was already moving, and for once in her life, she wasn't in control of it. The last display case scraped across the floor and out the door. The sound echoed, loud, final. The boutique was empty now, not just of products, of illusion, of status, of power. Savannah stayed on the floor. My father stood still. My mother just stared at me, and for the first time, she didn't look like the one in charge. She looked like someone trying to figure out how to survive what was coming next. I closed the folder, slipped it back into my jacket, turned, and walked toward the door. No rush, no hesitation. Behind me, nothing followed. No words, no commands, no control. Just silence. The kind that comes when reality finally settles in. And as I stepped out into the open air, I didn't need to look back to know that the fear of federal charges, frozen accounts, and losing everything had already stripped her down to something she hadn't been in. A long time someone without a plan. I was halfway through a report when my phone buzzed on the desk. Short vibration, internal line. I picked it up. "Lieutenant Thorne," I said. "Ma'am," the voice on the other end replied. Calm, professional, visitor control. "We have 3 civilians here requesting to see you." I didn't say anything. Didn't need to. "Names?" I asked. A brief pause. "Lorraine Thorne, Clayton Thorne, Savannah Thorne. Of course, right on schedule. They're—" persistent, the guard added carefully. "Asking to be let in. Getting emotional." I leaned back slightly in my chair, looked at the wall for a second, then back at the desk. "Keep them outside this gate," I said. "I'll come down." "Yes, ma'am." The line clicked off. I sat there for a second longer, not thinking, just confirming. Then I stood, grabbed my cover, straightened my uniform. On the way out, I stopped by legal. The same captain looked up when I stepped in. "They're here," I said. He didn't ask who. He already knew. "I'll walk with you," he replied, standing. "Good." We stepped outside together. 2 military police officers were already waiting near the vehicle, quiet, Ready, we drove the short distance to the visitor gate. As soon as the building came into view, I could see them, standing near the barrier, not composed, not controlled. Different, completely different. My mother looked smaller, not physically, just diminished. Her posture was off, shoulders slightly hunched, hands clenched together like she didn't know what to do with them. My father stood beside her, still quiet, but not detached this time, tense, aware. Savannah looked like she hadn't slept, hair pulled back wrong, makeup smeared, eyes red. No performance left, just damage. The vehicle stopped. I stepped out first. The MPs moved with me, one on each side, not aggressive, just present. The captain stayed slightly behind. We approached the gate. They saw me. Everything changed. My mother moved first. Fast, unsteady. "Darcy," she called out. Her voice cracked on my name. She didn't wait. Didn't hold back. She dropped. Right there on the pavement, knees hitting hard. No hesitation. No pride left to protect. "Please," she said. Not loud, not controlled, real. "We were wrong," she continued, words coming fast now. "We were so wrong." I stopped a few feet away. Didn't move closer, didn't step back, just stood there. She looked up at me, eyes wet, face tight. "You can have your room back," she said. "Everything. We'll fix it. We'll make it right." Savannah stepped forward next. Not kneeling, not yet, but close. "We'll kick her out," my mother added quickly, gesturing toward Savannah like she wasn't even there. "She can go. You come home." "Please." Savannah flinched. That landed, but she didn't argue. Didn't push back, because she needed me too. "Just withdraw the report," my mother said, voice breaking. "Call them. Tell them it's a mistake. We're begging you. Begging." That word hung there. Heavy. My father stepped forward slightly, not kneeling, still standing, but his voice was lower now, quieter. "Darcy," he said. First time he'd used my name like that. Not distant, not passive, direct. "We need your help." I looked at him, then at her, then at Savannah. 3 people, same family, different positions, all of them. Stripped down to the same place, need. I took a breath, slow, controlled. Then I spoke. "You didn't come here because you miss me," I said. My voice carried. Clear, cold. They froze. "You came here because the money stopped." No reaction at first. Then my mother shook her head. "No, that's not." I didn't let her finish. "You kicked me out for her," I continued, nodding once toward Savannah. "And now you have to live with her." Savannah looked down, couldn't hold eye contact. My mother's face broke again. "We made a mistake," she said. "A terrible mistake." I tilted my head slightly. "You committed fraud," I corrected. Silence. The captain stepped forward just enough, pulled a document from his folder. "Ma'am," he said, addressing my mother, "this is a formal cease and desist order. You are not to contact Lieutenant Thorne directly or indirectly regarding this matter." He held it out. She didn't take it, just stared. The MP on my right stepped forward slightly, took the document, placed it in her hands, gentle but firm. My mother looked down at it like it might disappear. "This isn't necessary," she said weakly. "It is," the captain replied. My father finally stepped in. "This is going too far," he said. Not loud, but there was something behind it. A last attempt at control. I turned my head slightly, looked at the MPs. "These civilians are trespassing," I said. No emotion, no hesitation, just protocol. The shift was immediate. Both MPs moved forward. Professional, controlled. "Sir, ma'am, you need to step back from the gate," one of them said. My mother shook her head. "No, please, just give us a minute. We need you to move," the MP repeated. Savannah started crying again, louder now. My father didn't argue, didn't push. He just placed a hand on my mother's shoulder. She resisted for a second. Then she stood, slow, unsteady. They were guided back. Not shoved, not forced. But there was no room for negotiation, no space for emotion, just procedure, step by step. Away from the gate, away from me. My mother kept looking back, like something might change. It didn't. Savannah wiped her face with both hands. My father kept his eyes forward. The vehicle door opened. They got in, no more words. No more pleading, just silence. The kind that comes after you realize there's nothing left to say. I stood there until the car pulled away. Didn't wave, didn't move, just watched it go. Because that was the last time I would ever see them like that. Not in control, not above me, just consequences. And as they drove off, escorted out under watch and procedure, whatever pride they had left didn't survive that gate, leaving them with nothing but the long drive back to a life that was already falling apart. I signed the last document, slid it across the desk, and watched the clerk stamp it without looking up. Months had passed, not fast, not slow, just steady. That's how consequences move when the system takes over. No drama, no speeches, just process. I walked out of the courthouse into clean air and a quiet parking lot. No crowd, no cameras, nothing left to perform for. The case was done, not forgotten, just finished. Lorraine and Savannah didn't go to prison, not because they didn't qualify, because they negotiated, plea deals. That's how it works when the evidence is clean and the risk is high. They pled to felony fraud charges, multiple counts, wire fraud, identity theft. Reduced sentencing in exchange for cooperation and restitution. No jail time, but no freedom either. Years of probation, financial monitoring, every dollar tracked, every move watched. They didn't get away with it. They just got a version of punishment they could survive. Barely. Savannah lost everything first. The boutique never reopened. Of course it didn't. There was nothing left to open. No inventory, no funding, no credibility. The videos that went up during the seizure, they didn't disappear. They spread, quietly at first, then faster. People recognized the space, the brand, the speech. Then they connected the dots. Fraud doesn't pair well with wellness. Her followers dropped. Sponsors vanished. Whatever she thought she was building, gone. Lorraine took it harder. Not the charges, not even the probation. Control. That's what she lost. Her accounts were monitored. Her spending restricted. Her decisions no longer hers alone. Every move reviewed. Every transaction flagged. That's a different kind of prison, and for someone like her, worse. Clayton sold the house. Had to. The missed payments stacked fast once the accounts froze. No backup funds, no silent safety net. No one stepping in to cover it. He listed it below market just to move it. They downsized into a small apartment across town. 2 bedrooms, thin walls, no space for illusions. No space for legacy. I heard that from someone who still talked to them. I didn't ask, didn't follow up, didn't care enough to confirm. Because none of it involved me anymore. That part was important. Separation, clean, complete. My side moved differently. The investigation cleared me fast. Documentation mattered. Timing mattered. Reporting immediately. That mattered most. My credit was restored, not patched. Wiped clean of everything tied to the fraud. Back to where it was before. Stable, verified, mine. My clearance review came next. Routine on paper, not routine in reality. They looked at everything: financial history, reporting timeline, behavioral patterns. I sat through the interview, answered every question. Didn't over-explain, didn't underplay, just gave them facts. They approved it, not just maintained, renewed with commendation. That part surprised me. Apparently handling it the way I did, it counted. Weeks later, I got the promotion orders. Captain, no ceremony, just paperwork. A quiet acknowledgement that I had done my job, even when it got personal, especially then. I didn't celebrate. Didn't need to. The result was enough. A few months after that, I closed on a house. Not big, not flashy, but mine. Completely mine. Different state. Different zip code. Different life. No shared accounts. No silent obligations, no one else's name anywhere near it. I moved in with 1 duffel bag and a few boxes. Set things up slow, deliberate, every piece where I wanted it, every bill in my name, every decision mine. The first night there, I sat on the floor, back against the wall, no furniture yet, just space, quiet, real quiet. I let it sit for a minute. No noise from another room, no tension in the air. No one expecting anything from me. That was new. I leaned my head back, closed my eyes for a second. Not to rest, just to feel the difference. Peace isn't loud. It doesn't announce itself. It just stays. I stood up, walked to the window, looked out at a street I didn't recognize. Neighbors I didn't know. Good. That's how I wanted it. They thought kicking me out would make me invisible, that I'd disappear, that I'd fold. What they didn't understand is this: when you push someone out of the dark, they finally get to see the light. I turned away from the window and leaned against the wall, looked straight ahead, like I was talking to someone sitting across from me. If you're out there, still paying for people who treat you like a backup plan, still funding lives that don't respect yours. Stop. You don't fix that by giving more. You fix it by cutting it off, clean, complete, no warning required. Because the moment you stop being useful, you find out exactly where you stand. And that's not a loss, that's clarity. So if you've ever had to draw a line that cost you everything, drop a comment. I read them. And if you want more stories that don't sugarcoat what it takes to walk away from people who use you, hit subscribe. Just remember, this boundaries aren't walls, they're doors. And you're the one holding the key. I set my keys on the kitchen counter and stood there for a second, just listening to how quiet the place was. No messages, no missed calls, no one asking for anything. That used to feel wrong. Now it feels accurate. Because here's the part people don't say out loud. In every family like mine, there's always one person who carries more than they should. Not because they're the oldest, not because they're the strongest, because they're the one who doesn't push back. That was me. I wasn't loud growing up. I wasn't dramatic. I didn't fight for attention. I just handled things, bills, problems, situations no one else wanted to deal with. And when I started making money, that role didn't disappear. It expanded. At first, it felt like helping, sending money home, covering the mortgage, making sure things didn't fall apart while I was deployed. No one asked me to do it. That's the part that makes it complicated. I volunteered. But here's what I didn't understand at the time. When you do something consistently without limits, people stop seeing it as help. They start seeing it as normal, expected, required. And once it becomes expected, something shifts. You're no longer appreciated. You're relied on. And when you're relied on without respect, you're not supporting a family. You're maintaining a system. I leaned against the counter and crossed my arms. Because if I'm being honest, they didn't suddenly become like that. They just got comfortable with me handling things. Comfortable with me not complaining, comfortable with me being the one who would always figure it out. And I let that happen. That's the part people don't like hearing. It's easier to say, they used me, but the truth is more precise than that. I made it easy to use me, not on purpose, but through consistency without boundaries. I never said, this is temporary. I never said this comes with conditions. I never said this stops if you don't respect me. So they never had to consider those limits. Because I never showed them. And over time, the dynamic locked in. Savannah got to chase whatever she wanted. My mother got to manage everything without consequences. My father got to stay silent. And I got to fund it. That wasn't a family system. That was a structure built on one person absorbing pressure so everyone else didn't have to. Me. I walked over to the fridge, opened it, then closed it again without grabbing anything. Didn't need food. Just needed the movement. Because this is where most people get stuck. They think being responsible means never stepping back. They think being the strong one means you carry everything no matter what. But strength without limits isn't strength. It's exposure. And once people get used to that exposure, they don't protect you. They use it. Here's the clean version of the lesson. Support and exploitation look the same at the beginning. Same actions, same effort, same intention. The difference shows up later. If you can stop at any time and nothing changes except your workload, that's support. If you stop and everything collapses and people turn on you, that's exploitation. I didn't understand that until I stopped. And when I did, everything broke. Not because I failed them, because they were built around me not having limits. I picked up my phone and scrolled through old transactions. 4 years of payments, $1,800 a month. No missed dates, no late fees. Just consistency, reliable, quiet, invisible. That's the dangerous part. When you do something long enough without recognition, it stops being seen. And when it stops being seen, it stops being valued until it's gone. Then suddenly it's everything. I set the phone down because here's what I want you to understand. You are allowed to help people. You are allowed to support your family. But the moment you lose the ability to say no without consequences, that's not support anymore. That's dependency. And dependency without respect turns into control. They don't need to threaten you. They don't need to manipulate you directly. They just need to know that you won't stop. That's enough. So let me ask you something. If you stop today, completely cut everything off, would the people you're helping still treat you the same? Would they respect you? Would they check on you? Or would they panic and turn on you? That answer matters because it tells you exactly what role you're playing. I walked over to the window and looked out at the street again. Different place, different life. No one here knows my history. No one here expects anything from me. That's not loneliness. That's control. And I earned that the hard way. So if you see yourself in this, if you're the one paying, fixing, covering, carrying, don't wait until it explodes. Don't wait until someone crosses a line so far you have no choice but to burn it all down. Look at the pattern now. Ask better questions now. Set limits now. Because the longer you wait, the more expensive it gets. Not just financially, personally. And trust me, it always gets collected in the end. I set my phone face down on the table and looked at the screen of my laptop. Not because I needed to read anything, but because I needed a flat surface to think against. No noise, no reactions, no opinions. That's where decisions get clean. Because here's something most people get wrong. They think what I did was emotional. They think I snapped. They think I got hurt and reacted. That would have been easier to explain. It also would have been a mistake. Nothing I did after that night was emotional. It was structured, calculated, sequential. There's a difference between reacting and executing. Reacting is loud. It needs to be seen. It tries to convince people. Execution is quiet. It doesn't ask for permission. It doesn't explain. It just moves. I didn't argue with my mother in that hallway. I didn't warn them at the motel. I didn't send a message saying you need to fix this. I documented. I reported. I cut access. Then I stepped back and let the system do its job. That wasn't cold. That was controlled. Because if I had tried to talk it out, they would have denied it, minimized it, turned it into something emotional, made me the problem. That's how those conversations go. You don't get resolution, you get noise. And noise is exactly what people like that rely on. It buys them time. It blurs facts. It creates confusion. I didn't give them that. I removed the conversation entirely. That's what a boundary actually is, not a speech, not a warning, a change in access. I leaned forward and tapped the edge of the table lightly. Once, because this is where people hesitate. They think boundaries are about teaching someone a lesson, explaining how to treat you, giving them a chance to understand. That sounds good, it feels fair, but it only works with people who already respect you. If someone is willing to use your identity, your money, your silence, they don't need more explanation. They need consequences. Clear, immediate, non-negotiable. That's the part people avoid. Because consequences feel harsh. They feel final. They feel like you're the one doing damage. You're not. You're just stopping the damage from continuing. There's a difference. I stood up and walked across the room slow, steady, because I want to break this down in a way that's usable, not theoretical. If you're dealing with someone who's crossing lines, financial, emotional, whatever it is, this is the structure. First, you define the boundary, not out loud, not for them, for you. What are you no longer willing to carry? Be specific. Not, I need more respect. That's vague. I will not pay for this anymore. I will not answer calls after. This time, I will not allow access to this account. Clear. Second, you remove access. Not gradually, not as a warning, directly. Cancel the payment, change the password. Stop responding. Whatever applies. Third, you do not announce it ahead of time if there's a risk they'll interfere. That's where most people fail. They think giving notice is respectful. In a healthy situation, it is. In a toxic one, it gives the other person time to manipulate pressure or escalate. You don't warn someone who's already shown they won't respect your limits. You act. Fourth, you let the consequences happen. This is the hardest part. Because when things start to fall apart, they will come back. They will call, they will beg, they will blame. And every instinct you have will tell you to step in and fix it. That's the trap. Because the moment you step back in, you reset the entire system. You teach them that your boundary is temporary, negotiable, optional. I didn't do that. When my mother texted me, I didn't explain. I didn't argue. I didn't say, you're committing fraud and I'm reporting you. I said one word, understood. That wasn't submission, that was timing. Because the moment I hit send, the process was already in motion. Banks were flagging accounts, systems were locking access, investigations were opening. Nothing I said would have changed that. And more importantly, nothing I said would have made them take it seriously, until it hit them. That's when it becomes real, not when you say it. When they feel it. I stopped by the window again, looked out. Same view, same quiet. Because here's the bottom line. Boundaries are not about being understood. They're about being enforced. You don't need someone to agree with your limit for it to exist. You don't need them to approve it. You don't even need them to accept it. You just need to hold it. Consistently, without exceptions, without emotional backtracking. Because once you start negotiating your own boundary, it's gone. So if you're sitting there thinking, I need to have one more conversation, ask yourself why. Is it because you think they don't understand, or because you're hoping they'll suddenly become someone they've never been? That answer matters, because one of those leads to change. The other leads to more of the same. And at some point you have to decide, are you trying to fix them, or are you finally ready to protect yourself, because you can't do both? I woke up before the alarm and didn't rush to check my phone. That used to be the first move. Messages, requests, problems waiting, now it's just quiet. I sat on the edge of the bed for a second and let that sink in. No one needs anything from me, not because I don't matter, because I stopped letting people treat me like a resource. That's a different kind of freedom. And most people never get there, not because they can't, because they won't pay the price. I walked into the kitchen, poured a glass of water, leaned against the counter. Same place, different life. Because here's the truth, nobody packages nicely. Peace is expensive. Not financially, emotionally. You don't get peace by fixing everything. You don't get peace by making people understand you. You get peace by letting go of what was never going to change. That's the part people fight. They hold on to the idea of what a family should be, not what it actually is. They keep investing in people who only show up when there's something to take. They call it loyalty. They call it patience. They call it love. Sometimes, it's just denial. I took a sip and set the glass down. Because I'm not going to pretend it was easy. Cutting them off didn't feel strong in the moment. It felt final. There's a difference. Strong feels good. Final feels quiet, heavy, like you just closed a door you're not allowed to reopen. And for a while that sits with you. You question it. You replay conversations. You wonder if you went too far. That's normal. That's what happens when you've been trained to prioritize everyone else. Your brain doesn't immediately switch. It resists. But then something changes. Not all at once. Slow, subtle. You realize you're not checking your phone as much. You're not bracing for the next request. You're not budgeting your life around someone else's expectations. That space, that's peace starting to show up. It doesn't announce itself. It just stays. I walked over to the window and looked out at the street again. Same routine, same view. But now I see it differently. Because for the first time, everything in my life is aligned with one simple rule. If it costs me my stability, it doesn't get access. That's it. No exceptions. And that rule applies to people just as much as it applies to money. That's the part people avoid. They think cutting off financial support is enough. It's not. If you still allow the same conversations, the same pressure, the same emotional pull, nothing actually changes. You just change the format. Real boundaries don't just remove access to your resources. They remove access to your energy, your time, your attention, your decision-making. That's where peace comes from. Control. Not over other people, over what you allow into your life. I lean my shoulder against the wall because there's another part to this most people don't say out loud. You will lose people, not just the ones who were using you, anyone who benefited from the old version of you, anyone who preferred you when you were easier to control. They don't always leave loudly. Sometimes they just stop showing up, stop calling, stop including you. And if you're not ready for that, it feels like you made a mistake. You didn't. You just stopped being useful in the way they were used to. That's not rejection, that's recalibration. I pushed off the wall and walked back toward the table. Because this is where it gets real for you. If you're watching this and thinking, I can't do that, you're probably right. Not yet. Because it takes a specific kind of clarity to walk away without looking back. And clarity doesn't come from motivation. It comes from patterns. You have to see it clearly enough times. Feel it enough times. Get pushed far enough. Until staying costs more than leaving. That's when it shifts. That's when it becomes simple. Not easy, simple. So here's what I want you to take from this. If you're bleeding yourself dry for people who treat you like an ATM, stop. If you're constantly adjusting your life to keep someone else comfortable, stop. If you're afraid that setting a boundary will cost you the relationship, ask yourself what that relationship is actually built on. Because anything that disappears the moment you say no was never stable to begin with. I stood there for a second, letting that settle. Because this isn't about revenge. Not really. It looks like that from the outside. But what it actually is correction. I didn't destroy my family. I removed myself from a system that only worked when I was being drained. And once I did that, everything revealed itself. So if this story hit close to home, if you've ever had to step back from people you thought would always be there, Drop a comment. Say it out loud. You're not the only one. And if you want more revenge stories, family drama that don't just entertain you, but actually show you how to take control back in your own life, hit subscribe. Because sometimes the strongest move you'll ever make is not fighting harder, it's walking away and not coming back.